Welcome back to another poker vlog. I know it's been like 2 to 3 weeks. I have been trying to make other vlogs. There was a few sessions that were just really boring, and in this one that was actually kind of going well, my phone died. I forgot my charger. Rookie mistake, I know. But also I've been on a bit of a downswing, to be transparent with you guys, and I felt like I should probably stop recording just for a little while and focus on my game. I've only been playing consistently for about a month or so, so I haven't really experienced a big downswing like this. So mentally, I'm just trying to get back into it and overcome this downswing. I know it's part of the game, but it's still tough. Anyways, I'm back at it, and this session was awesome. It was an absolute sun run. Let's get into it. First poker vlog at TCH Social here in Las Catalinas. Super nice room, a lot bigger than the other card houses. Only downside is that the max buy-in for the 1-2 is 300 instead of 500. So that's what we're in for. Let's get into it. In the first hand of the session, we pick up pocket aces in the big blind, and they are 5 limps to us. I raise it up to $25 and get 3 callers per usual from the +2, low jack, and button player. So we are 4 ways to a flop, which comes 7, queen, 8, 2 clubs, 1 spade. I put out a C bet for $35. On a super web board like this, I should probably be sizing up to around $50 to $60 to be charging all of my opponents flush and straight draws. But I also want those hands to call. I don't want those hands folding. And thankfully, we only get 1 caller from the +2. So we are now heads up to a turn, which comes to 7 of clubs. Not a card I wanted to see. The front door flush gets there, and also hands like 9-7, 6-7, and maybe even 10-7 have us beat now. So I decide to check, and he pretty quickly checks it back. Off to a river, which comes the 5 of clubs. So now this board goes from bad to worse. I'm not going to be betting. I check, and thankfully he checks it back. I flip over the aces, and he mucks. So surprisingly, pocket aces hold up on this super wet board. In this next one, we pick up pocket 10s from under the gun and open things up to $15. And surprisingly, we don't get 15 callers. We only get 1, and that's from the button player. So we are heads up to a flop, which comes pretty good. It comes 8-5-5 rainbow. Great flop for these pocket 10s. So I'm going to put out a continuation bet of $15. And my opponent pretty quickly raises me to $35. Now, I don't think he'd be doing this with a 5. I think it's more likely that he has a hand like 9-8 or ace-8 for top pair, or even potentially a hand like 6s, 7s, or 9s. I don't think he'd be doing this with a hand like 6-7, although he could be. But I think he would probably make it a bit larger if that were the case. So with all this in mind, I stick in the call. We're off to a turn, which comes the 4 of spades. I check again, and he bets out, but only for $45. So pretty straightforward call here, and that's what I do. Off to a river, which is the deuce of diamonds. I check with plans to call any bet he puts out on this river, but surprisingly, he checks it back and flips over ace-8 offsuit. No good, sir. These pocket 10s are going to take this one down. In this one, we pick up jack, queen of hearts in the cutoff, a beautiful sight to look down at. And when action gets to me, I raise it up to $17. We get 3 callers from the small blind, under the gun, and +1 player. So we are 4 ways to a flop, which couldn't come much better. It comes queen, 10, queen, rainbow. And when action checks to me, I think a small bet could accomplish something here, but I think holding a jack in our hand is not a good thing, because that blocks a lot of the hands that we want to get value from, such as jack 10, jack 9, or king jack. So with that in mind, I decide to get a little tricky here and check it through. So we're still 4 ways to a turn, which comes the 6 of hearts. Shouldn't change much unless our opponents have pocket 6s. So when action checks to me again, I'm going to put out a bet. I'm going to keep it small, though. I bet out for $15, hoping to get at least 1 player to tag along. And that's what happens. The small blind player calls, under the gun folds, but now the +1 player decides to check raise to $55. So not much to do here besides call. That's what I do, and the small blind player gets out of the way. So we are heads up now to a river, which is the queen of diamonds. Yeah, so we river quads, and our opponent checks it over to us. He only has $130 behind. 1 move here, and that's to move all in. That's what I do, and he snap calls. So amazing result. Poker is just so easy when you make quads, right? All you do is shove all in, they call, and then you win, right? I should just do this more often. I don't know why I don't, but anyways, quads is going to take this one down. As if things weren't already going good enough, we pick up pocket aces. Let's go. We raised it up to $15 and everyone folds. So we profit $3 on this hand. Moving on. Quick little snippet here of my older brother playing right next to me. He gets into a pretty big hand with pocket queens against a flush draw, all in on the flop, and scoops it against an opponent that I'm about to get involved in a pretty big hand against. Now, typically when you make quads in a session, that's like the highlight, right? But we might be able to top it here. We pick up queen nine of spades in the +1 position and we raise it up to $15. We get 2 callers from the cutoff and big blind player. So we're 3 ways to a flop, which comes 5, 7, jack, rainbow. Not a whole lot going on besides a backdoor straight and flush draw, and I guess straight flush draw technically, but action is gonna check through on this flop. So we're off to a turn 3 ways, which couldn't come any better. It comes the king of spades, an absolute gem card. We now have a straight draw, flush draw, and a straight flush draw. The big blind player decides to lead out now for $30. I could definitely be putting in a raise, but being in position, I decided to just call, and the cutoff player decides to fold. So we are heads up now to a river, which comes, any guesses? Yeah, the 10 of spades. What is going on right now? I think I've made 1 straight flush in my entire life playing live poker, and now we just made quads and a straight flush in the same session. Now the situation gets even better when the big blind player decides to bet out for $65. There is no better feeling than holding the nuts, pause, and your opponent betting into you. Obviously, we're gonna be raising here, and I think we have to go big and target 2 pair holdings, straights, and even flushes. So I make it $225, and our opponent instantly moves all in for his remaining $240, and I literally can't call quick enough.
I call. I have a straight flush.
My opponent ends up showing pocket 5, so had us in pretty rough shape on the flop, but we go runner for the straight flush. Man, poker is freaking easy when you make quads and straight flushes. I mean, at this point, I'm expecting a royal flush coming any moment now. After that straight flush hand, our stack is right at the 1K mark. Things couldn't be going any better. Let's see if we can't keep it going. In this one, we pick up 9-8 offsuit. We're in a bomb pot here in Texas. Every dealer change, it's a double board bomb pot, which typically I always lose. Unless you saw the first vlog, I pretty much won all of them. But let's see if we can't change that. The first board comes out 8, 8, 10, 2 clubs, 1 diamond, and the bottom board comes out queen, 5, 8, rainbow. So we have the only other 8 in the deck. And when under the gun bets out for $5, obviously going to raise this one up to $20. Should probably be sizing up, but I wanted somebody to call, and the hijack player is the only customer. Everyone else folds. So now we're heads up to a turn, which comes the 3 of clubs on top and queen of diamonds on the bottom. I put out another bet, this time for $45, and my opponent just calls. Now when he just calls, I'm positive that we have the top board locked up and potentially even the bottom board, because I think a queen would have raised this turn to try to get me off a chop. So feeling pretty confident about my hand until the river comes, the 7 of clubs on top and king of diamonds on the bottom. So now there's a potential straight and flush on the top board. I think we could still be, putting in another bet, but I just really didn't want to face a raise and get blown off my hand. So I go into check call mode, but it doesn't come to that because my opponent pretty quickly checks it back. I flip over my hand and we're good. So the sun run continues. In this one, we look down at the dreaded pocket jacks from the small blind. The low jack player opens it up to $11, and the hijack 3-bets him to $30. Action folds to me, and I'm contemplating putting in a 4-bet because the 3-better only has another, $60 to $70 behind. So I'm perfectly fine getting it all in with pocket jacks for that amount, but for some reason, I decided to just call. Not really liking this move because it definitely invites other players in the pot, and pocket jacks just don't play well multi-way. And sure enough, that's what happens when the +1 and low jack player both call. So we're 4 ways to a flop, which comes jack, 8, deuce. I can't make this up. Well, I could, but I'm not making this up. There's 2 clubs and 1 diamond on board, so there is a flush draw. It is pretty connected, but we're still going to be checking. So I check, and action checks all the way to the hijack player, who goes all in for his remaining $67. I guess I could raise here, but I still want some other players to call. Even if they have a flush or a straight draw, we have those hands in pretty bad shape, so I just call. and the low jack player puts in the call, leaving himself only another $90 behind. So now there's a side pot going on, but we're 3 ways to a turn, which is the 9 of hearts, which in the moment I didn't think was a horrible card, because I think a hand like queen 10 of clubs would have probably just shoved that flop because he didn't really have that much behind. So yeah, I'm just gonna put them all in. I shove for his remaining $90, and he snap calls. So not feeling great about it, and feeling awful now when the river comes the 3 of clubs. The front door flush gets there. Not too confident with my set of jacks, but surprisingly neither player has a flush. However, the low jack player shows queen 10 offsuit for a turn straight. So yeah, he called us with the gutter on the flop and got there on the turn, but honestly, I'm not too upset about this hand because I want my opponents to be calling me with a gutter when I have top set. That's what you want. But unfortunately, sometimes they're going to get there, and this time is one of those times. Obviously, in hindsight, I wish I would have 4-betted just to get a heads up with that hijack player, because I'm pretty sure we had the best hand against him, but I'm probably just being a little results-oriented right now. Either way, we're going to lose this nearly $500 pot. All right, time to bounce back from that pocket jacks hand. In this one, we pick up 10-9 offsuit. Not a very good hand. We're in the hijack and decide to limp. Should probably just be folding this, but besides that pocket jacks hand, we're running really hot, so why not get in there with some mediocre hands like this? And when action gets to the big blind player, he checks his option. So we're off to a flop, which comes 10-10-8. We flop ourselves trips. Guess it's just one of those sessions. We're running hot, and the +2 player bets out for $10. I decided to just call, and everyone else folds. So now we're heads up to a turn, which is the 7 of diamonds. So now we have ourselves an open ender to go along with our trips. Our opponent checks it over to us, and I'm not going to be checking back. I put out a bet of $20. My opponent calls. Off to a river, which, pause the video real quick. Let me know what you think this river is going to be. I'll wait. Also, go ahead and subscribe while you're doing that. If you guessed the 9 of hearts, you were spot on. It comes the 9 of hearts. We improved to a full house, the absolute best card in the deck, obviously because we improved, but also if our opponent had a hand like Jack 8 or Jack 9, we're definitely going to get paid off here. And when my opponent checks, I'm going to put in a large bet and target those hands, so I size up to $65. Unfortunately, he folds, but still not upset with the result. I mean, we won the hand. I just wanted to include this one to show you guys how hot I'm running today. On to the last hand of the session, and it's time for a bit of redemption. We pick up pocket jacks in the +2 position and almost just fold in pre-flop because it's impossible to win with these things, but I convinced myself not to, and instead I opened up the action to $15 and get 2 callers from the cutoff and big blind player. So we're 3 ways to a flop, which comes queen 9-3, 2 hearts, 1 diamond. Action checks to me, and we do have a backdoor straight flush draw. Is it possible? Who knows? But we're just going to check this one, and action checks through. Off to a turn, which is the 3 of clubs. When the big blind player checks, I decided to put in a bet this time for $20, and only the cutoff player calls. So now we're heads up to a river, which of course is the Jack of clubs. I'm not making this up, I promise. We river another full house. Gosh, poker is so easy. Such an easy game. I think I should actually be checking on this river, even though we improved to a full house. Reason being is there's a flush draw that missed. There's other straight draws that could have missed. So I should be giving my opponent a chance to bluff at it with hands like 9-10 or king 9 or any 2 hearts. But I was scared that he would just check it back. So I put out a bet of $55, and unfortunately he folds. So kind of stinks to make 2 full houses and not really get much value, but can't really complain considering the session has gone amazing. But yeah, that was it for this session. We picked up our chips, took them to the cage, exchanged them for some cash, and that wraps up this sun run of a session. That is a wrap. We were into that game for $300, cashed out for $896, which is a profit of $596. That's correct. I promise you guys I'm not just deciding to post the vlogs where I'm winning. There's plenty of shorts you guys can watch of me getting coolered and losing. Yeah, go check those out, please. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this vlog. If you did, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button right now. Thank you. Yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.